Hi, I'm Rachel. Welcome to my spirit art channel. I will be doing a spirit art reading today for a future viewer, and spirit art is a form of mediumship. So if you're a normie, you may not enjoy this channel because I am going to be talking about woo-woo stuff. And if you're not a normie, you might really love this channel because I literally don't know what I'm going to draw before the drawing begins. Spirit art drawings are a form of mediumship, and I'll be communicating with the other side through my art, which in this case is going to be colored pencil on paper. I thought I would give a reference to Adele because I'm working on just categorizing every single song in Spotify into different zodiac signs, but her song Hello is basically about mediumship, and if you don't think it's about mediumship, I don't know what in the world this song would be about. Also, this weekend, tomorrow, I'm giving spirit art readings at Serenity Rocks / Halo's Holistic Healing Center from 10:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. The address is 1309 West Guadalupe Road. And with that being said, let's get started on the spirit art drawing. Okay, so this drawing hits very close to home, and I'll explain that in a little bit. But basically, this is Bruce. This is who I connected to. He's the son, and then this is Evelyn. And you can kind of tell by his coloration, he's very warm. He's probably a fire sign. If you want to connect him with a tarot archetype, it would be a wand. Like he'd be like the Prince of Wands or something, and very fiery, a lot of energy happening here. Very much full of color, but at the same time a little bit disgruntled. This is Evelyn, this is his mother. She has a silver tongue and she's quite cold, or at least can be cold, and she was very convincing, very manipulative. Her voice was very smooth and melodic, so she would have been a really wonderful hypnotherapist. And she was very, very beautiful. Bruce loved his mom very, very much, and he listened to everything that she said. However, Evelyn didn't really want him to succeed in life, and she was able to tear down, mostly successfully, whatever his goals were, and just told him that he was not going to amount to anything. I really did link into Bruce, and you could tell that by watching the part where I'm drawing, because I drew him a lot, and then I had some trouble, or at least hesitation, to bring her in, because this seemed to be like a more negative personality, and I want to try to focus on the positive. But the thing is that with these drawings, I can't control what's going to come in and come out. I can hesitate and I can stall, but I can't, at the end of the day, I can't really prevent the negativity from expressing itself through spirit art, because this message still needs to be said anyways. Bruce died in the 1920s, so she would have been older than this, and they did live in Arizona. Since Arizona gained statehood in 1912, they would have probably lived the majority of their life in Arizona when it was still a territory. This story took place over 100 years ago. I do believe I have a last name. It could be McCabe or McCabe, or some McAddy, or some Mick name like this. It would have been the wild, wild west at that point. Bruce was very warm. He's very physical. You know, if he was a lover, he would have been like a great hugger. He would have been like a very generous man, or he would have been a very generous lover. You know, I just think he just loved a lot of things in his life, including his mom. But he didn't put a filter on what she was saying. He just believed everything that she said, which was quite unfortunate, because Evelyn hated him on some level. I didn't really understand on what level, and that could be like my own block, because I do have this in my family. She did constantly talk down to him, and because she had this really lovely melodic voice, like it was hard for him to question what she was saying, also because obviously this is his own mom. She just kind of talked badly about anything he was passionate about. And this woman was very, very complicated. So even though she may have loved her son on some level, she also hated him and his success on another level. And I do recognize the times, if this happened 100 years ago, she could have also been angry at Bruce just for being even just a man, because At that time in history, women did not have a lot of options in their life. She was very, very toxic, and she wanted him to amount to less than she was. She believed that she was more powerful in this dynamic, and we have a possible narcissist on our hands with Evelyn, because she always wanted the power and she was determined to keep that. So she may have believed that as long as she was holding Bruce down, she was the powerful one in this dynamic, and she could just control him and then, you know, get everything she wanted, like satisfaction that way. A lot of emotional manipulation. I do think also a lot of backstabbing, a lot of manipulative words. You got to keep in mind that she's blue, and blue is this communication color. It's the communication of, it's the expression of the throat chakra. Even as simple as body language. I did have trouble bringing her in, like I said, and this could be subconscious on my part for not wanting to bring this particular individual into the drawing. And this really relates to me, and usually mediumship does pull from your own personal database. So this is very recent. Yesterday, a family member told me that they don't love me and that they will always disrespect me as long as I'm doing tarot or mediumship or spirit art, that they will just never agree with what I'm doing, and they just think that I'm stupid. And it's kind of disturbing because this person is very close to me, and I know that I should not take this sort of messaging personally, but it's still difficult to listen to, and it does hurt, especially because they're refusing to recognize who I am and refusing to recognize that, like, I did write and was involved with a very important collaboration book about bringing in more magic and rituals and the divine into their lives. And yes, it became a best-selling book on Amazon. And this family member just completely is committed to tearing down anything and everything that I'm about as far as spirit art. And they also wish that they weren't related to me. So, and then they're completely ashamed. This happens to a lot of people. This situation, this sort of visceral hate within the family is not just a me problem. This happens to a lot. It actually is happening, has happened a lot to the women that I'm involved in this book with, and even just people that I'm friends with. They'll be really close family members that will actively tell them that they're ashamed of them and wish that they weren't related, and all sorts of gossip and backstabbing, verbal or even more subtle ways of removing support. It was hard for me to bring Evelyn in, especially if this comes from a female family member, because you just associate the nurturing aspect to come in with the female gender, and it's simply not true. It's really not that simple. It's a really complex situation, and I am aware that my particular family member that continues to speak to me this way throughout the years, and there's been different ways of this situation playing out and unfolding over the years, but it's just disturbing, actually. And Evelyn is disturbing. This woman disturbs me. Now, this did really break his heart over and over and over again, but he eventually did overcome this sort of spell that Evelyn had over him, because he did have low self-esteem, but he was able to come out of it later in his life. Look at him here. He's very loving. This is a very loving individual. A lot of different people deal with this sort of, the main message is that spirit and God is also family. So this may be playing out on the 3D level. Bruce may have dealt with his mother on the 3D level in the 1920s, and it's 2021, and I have to deal with my family member also presenting the same sort of negative energetic attack on me all the time. But God is also family member. Spirit is family, okay? a lot of unseen energy around us, a lot of non-physical energy, is also related to what is going on inside of ourselves. And now my ear is ringing and I don't understand what is happening right now. But as your family and as love, Spirit is supportive through all of this and through all times in your life. Important to know that you should not listen to people, especially family members, that are not supportive of you. Do not allow them to take your energy away. Always keep your energy, always keep your inner authority for yourself, and you decide what you are worth and what you're doing is worth, and not somebody outside of you. They could be getting a lot of satisfaction with your doubt. I mean, that's what Evelyn was banking on. She wanted her son to be completely dependent on her and have no self-confidence, and that worked for many, many years. I don't think Bruce really knew who he was, even though he was such a loving, generous person. And, you know, as a fire sign, fire signs tend to be generally innocent and take things for face value. He was just taking what his mom said for face value. I have learned my lesson. I cannot take what a lot of family members say to me, depending on who it is, for face value. I just can't, because their words are so ripping, and so over many, many years, it's just like, what do I do with my life? Nothing. Just like, only depend on you for advice. Like, what is that? Especially in my family, I know this resonates with a lot of people out there. That's why I'm saying this. I break a lot of the molds. I'm not doing what other family members before did. I stick out a lot. And people who stick out in their families, especially, they're not doing what their family used to do. It doesn't matter if the family member is meek or strong and loud. If you stand out, you can become a target. It's a very easy target. And so that's why in my family, I'm an easy target. It's just what's happening. At least it's what's happening right now. And that's why I brought this drawing in. But I also want to say that even if it's a family member who was loving and does want you to do well, family members, depending on their history and their understanding of family, will project their insecurities on you, even if they don't know they're doing it. So once again, it comes down to owning your own inner authority at all times, and that God is your family. So do not let somebody else question your relationship to the spirit world, to spirit, to God, to the Almighty, however, whatever your relationship is like. That is not for anybody else to take control of or to even give opinions on. That is only for you. And I also want to say that I got a lot of messages about this right after the spirit art drawing, because I was kind of overwhelmed by this, because I was like, oh my gosh, do I say who this family member is? Do I not say who this family member is? Like, what the heck am I supposed to do with this information? Like, how transparent am I supposed to be? Because I don't want to talk about my personal life. It's like spirit was pulling from my own database, and that is very painful for me. All right, so that's the message. Spirit is also your family. Spirit is also supportive, despite whatever 3D stuff is going on with family members here on this plane. And keep your inner authority, even if it goes against what your family says. All right, I'll be back with another spirit art drawing before you know it. Bye.